Story 1. Hug my mom. She may not have known who I was, but I miss her so much that my heart hurts at times. Story 2. Be more careful with my ex and make sure my son does not come along until we are married or at least together for a longer period. Story 3. Cry tears of sheer joy. So much has happened to my family and me between now and then that has really just destroyed our lives. My son does not overdose. My daughter does not get assaulted. My business is not affected by COVID-19. Story 4. 3 groups of people here. 1. Young people who would lose almost everything they have lived for so far. Older people who would lose what they care about most, like their children. Adults without children who would welcome it because the last 7 years were difficult. Story 5. Better eating and drinking habits. I gained about 50 pounds during COVID, and I just can't lose it now. Sigh. Story 6. Hug all 4 of my dogs that passed away. Call 2 of my friends and tell them that I love them. They passed away too. Story 7. Leave my ex sooner because the dream told me things wouldn't work out. I would stay where I was, however, and work on myself in terms of fitness, etc. Story 8. 2018 was a pivotal year for me. Nothing positive came out of it. Changed me completely and left me with lifelong scars. I think if I woke up at any point in 2018, I would have harmed myself and done it successfully this time. I am doing well now, but still. Story 9. I'd mourn the loss of the wonderful people I've met since then. That's a third of my life gone, and if I remember all that I lost, I'd be heartbroken. Story 10. There are a lot of people in the comments who are missing the concept of "it was all a dream" in the question. It basically means things are not guaranteed to happen the same way again. In fact, they are almost guaranteed not to. How often do you have dreams that perfectly predict the future? Therefore, doing things like investing in Bitcoin is a bad idea, unless you normally base your investments on what happened in a dream. Story 11, the same thing. I will try to keep the job I currently have. It would honestly be a significant setback to lose 7 years of career advancement. Story 12. Short the stock market in March 2020 and have long conversations with the relatives who have already passed. Story 13. My mom dies in a month. I am getting a flight as soon as possible. Maybe if someone had been there, they could have saved her. Story 14. In 2018, we sold our house and moved off-grid. In hindsight, if I had a do-over, I would probably rethink where we moved. Story 15. All these comments about stock and investment buying are silly. People I have lost. I would trade any money made just to see them again. Story 16. Immediately request a divorce from my wife. Things were already going downhill, we just didn't know it at the time. Shortly thereafter, she traumatized me for 4 years with her infidelity and gaslighting. I would gladly take the chance to reverse that. Story 17. Yeah, I might have to shudder at the prospect of raising my infant son again. I love him, but it's a lot of work. Story 18. Buy a lot of toilet paper and N95 masks and say things like, I don't know, I just have a feeling for 2 years. People will think I am a prophet. Also, I would invest in Zoom, telehealth, Clorox, and Home Depot. Story 19. Convince my parents to move us to the Netherlands one way or another and get out of Canada as fast as possible. Story 20. Just live my life. I'm back in my freshman year of high school, so I'll just enjoy my time as a kid and try to be a better friend. Story 21. Number 1. Make sure I jump on Hinge and swipe a lot to ensure I still meet the mother of my children. Number 2. Buy all the advanced micro devices, Nvidia, Microsoft, and GameStop shares I can afford. Sell the GameStop shares at the top of the short squeeze and then invest in Nvidia and hold them. Wait until today, and then quit my job and spend all my time with my kids and partner. Story 22. Well, I would hope it would be before October because my wife would still be alive, and I still have my stepdaughter Grace. They would have grown up with me. It would have been wonderful. Story 23. Be upset as it meant that I did not actually know someone that I have come to see as a close friend, but there are other things that I would be glad do not happen. Story 24. I tend to believe that dreams are actually somewhat prophetic. Or at the very least, we dream about things we are insecure and unhappy with and want them to change. So I think the very first thing I would do is finish my college degree earlier. I would get that ticket to Japan and move there. I would make better financial choices and put myself in a position where I am actually happy. Story 25. Invest everything I have in something that I know will blow up like Nvidia. Tell my mom and dad and everyone else I love to do the same. Reduce my effort at work that was overwhelming me and spend more time with my family. Retire at 45. Story 26. I have been doing great since 2018. I got sober and went back to school. It is the years before 2018 that need a rewrite. Story 27. Keep up my fitness, leave my girlfriend at the time, and pay a lot more off my mortgage rather than relax with my money. Other than that, I am not sure. Story 28. Man, I wish this would happen to me. I have a degree that I am probably going to do nothing with. My dad would be in better health. This post made me sad. Story 29. I quit smoking in January 2018. I will keep that. My mom died in October. Not much I could do to change that. I broke my arm very badly in 2019. It would be hard not to avoid that. But that accident opened some interesting doors for me. I was diagnosed with diabetes in 2000. I would try to prevent that. I would handle a career pivot differently. I would make another attempt to pursue the woman who I feel is the one who got away. Story 30. Cut out all non-essential expenses and aggressively start piling money into savings and investments. A parent needs a house and interest rates were 3% back then. Story 31. I will still move back in to care for my grandmother, but focus on healthier food and less cannabis this time, and maybe have a few more heartfelt conversations. I aim to be in a better place physically and mentally by the year 2020. I will address the same major life events such as moving, family matters, and career changes, but I will carry 20% less weight, both in body and in my emotions. Story 32. Make sure my brother follows a diet and loses weight before the pandemic occurs and ultimately harms him. Story 33. Use my memory to predict the future for everyone else. By the time we get to the coronavirus disease, I will be considered a prophet. Then I will start a group. Then, more money. More money. Story 34. Immediately leave my husband, freeze my eggs, and befriend the friends I have made at work a lot sooner. Story 35. I don't know, man. The thing that I have done that has worked out the best since then is buy my house. But it has been so financially uncomfortable that I don't know if I would have the courage to do it again. Story 36. I probably have a mental breakdown. I love my child and my life quite a lot, and he wouldn't be there anymore. Story 37. Learn how to cook from my dad more. I was hoping he would have lived a little longer to enjoy spending time with his grandson. Story 38. Put more money in my savings and start my stock purchases earlier than I did. In 3 years, I could have taken advantage of the pandemic-related home buying opportunities, if the pandemic still happens. If the pandemic does not happen and my position at work does not dissolve, I probably would not do much else. I might advise my former landlord to visit the doctor more frequently and have his heart checked. I would tell him to take a vacation and ask if there is anything I can do to help lower his stress levels. Story 39. Go immediately to get my beloved and cherished mother and take her to an oncologist for blood work. Then move her to our house where I can spend time with her every day and help ensure she does everything possible to stay healthy. Story 40. Fix my health concerns earlier, obtain my master's degree, and prepare for greater self-sufficiency. And get married. Story 41. Invest in cryptocurrency, start improving myself so I am ahead and take care of my family. I took care to the best of my ability, but they still turned out a mess. Maybe it would be different this time, eldest sibling. Story 42. Honestly, cry. My last 7 years were the best years of my life. I got married, got a fantastic dog, got a great job, started my own business, and transformed from an overweight couch potato to a pretty fit guy. But my bunny passed away in 2022, so at least I could cuddle her. Story 43. Tell myself to stop drinking every weekend because every weekend becomes every night not too soon after. Story 44. Buy the house. Do not go on that first date. Go with the other job I applied for. Adopt a second dog, not just one. Story 45. I would use my knowledge to go and take advanced placement or dual credit classes and study for the Scholastic Assessment Test, so I would have had better opportunities for college. Story 46. I did not apply to get my master's degree. That was a nightmare. I went through a divorce earlier, and maybe I should have started dating earlier. However, not too much earlier, as my now husband would not have been on the dating app yet. I couldn't change much, really. The most horrible part of the nightmare is Vladimir Putin, who has been a prominent figure since I was 5 years old, and there is not much I can change about him, as I am not an assassin and do not really have the skills to be one. Story 47. Hang out with my brother more. It's not reasonable to think of things in this framing, but maybe if we spent more time together, he wouldn't have gone missing. Story 48. If this was the case, I would have dreamed of meeting my incredible wife and having our 2 beautiful girls. All our adventures and love never actually happened. I would be with my ex in a challenging relationship, stuck. I would consider ending my life. Story 49. Make the most of the time with my dad. Ask him lots of questions, listen to him, learn from him, and enjoy him. Story 50. Buy all the toilet paper and hand sanitizer I can find, then quietly invest in Zoom Video Communications and Moderna Incorporated. Not saying a word to anyone about what is coming. They would think I am crazy anyway. Story 51. Push my parents to take us back to our home country and spend a lot of time with all the relatives who have passed away in the past 7 years. Story 52. I would avoid meeting my ex, then move to the town I live in now by myself, and find my now fiancé sooner and pursue him. Story 53. I would give anything to go back to 2018. I wouldn't have made the choices I did, and my life would look completely different. Maybe it wouldn't have been exciting. Maybe I would have been bored out of my mind, but at least I wouldn't be tearing my hair out, feeling like I am losing my sanity. 2018 was a turning point. I thought I was chasing adventure after becoming an empty nester. I left a failing marriage, believing I was finally going to live my best life. Somehow, I ended up in my own personal hell instead. I am in another failing marriage, raising 2 teenage boys my partner refuses to parent, stuck in a suburb I despise. When I met my partner, their children lived with their mother in another state. Then one day, she just dropped them off and left. This was not the empty nest, wild, free years I had imagined. In the midst of my breakdown, I lost my daughter's childhood home. Worse, I almost lost my relationship with her. It wasn't her I left behind, it was her stepfather. But she had known him since she was 6. Looking back, I would have stayed and tried to work it out with my boring husband. At least then, I didn't feel like I was living in actual hell. Story 54. Cuddle my dog, invest in Bitcoin, try to set up a sanitizer plant, sell my entire portfolio to reinvest, and hold investing in property. Story 55. Get my grandma to move in with us so that she wouldn't have been alone when she had her stroke. She was fiercely independent. And I want to encourage my son to date actively so he wouldn't have started a relationship with the person he is with now. I also want to promote a healthier lifestyle both physically and financially. Story 56. Be more intentional about changing my self-image, which would mean taking a break from a few communities much sooner than I did. Invest in Ethereum. There is no guarantee about the rise of cryptocurrency, but someone told me to get on the train in late 2017 and I didn't, so I might still be early enough to profit if it still heads upwards. Get my current job sooner so I have a better platform from which to apply for jobs in the future. I know I can do my current job, and I had just lost my previous job at the end of 2017, so not having that gap would be nice. Story 57. As it's a dream and I assume it's not a premonition, everything in the dream won't necessarily happen. I will make sure I don't take my previous relationship for granted and also learn that anyone can cheat, even those who you are sure won't, so I'll be more cautious. I will also spend a lot less on the wedding, realizing that I don't need to spend a large amount and can put that money in savings instead. I will be pretty upset, though, as everything eventually changed for the better since 2018. Story 58. Oh, lovely, the best years of my life were a bad dream. If anyone needs me, I will be splattered across the front of a train. Story 59. My wife and I had our twins in October 2018, so no, I wouldn't go back and potentially change that. Story 60. I did not get back in touch with my friend. He told me that he loved me and wanted to be in a relationship with me. However, he does not want to get married and only sees me as a friend with benefits. I do not want to waste my time. I will pass. Story 61. Hug my now ex-husband and tell him about the horrific nightmare I just had. Get started on my next prescription sooner. Go back to work and be very grateful that some terrible things I worked on hadn't occurred. Story 62. Warn my partner's mother about the cancer in time, so we won't end up watching her slowly fall apart fighting an unwinnable battle. Tell my bosses to leave me alone regarding the promotion to manager, where I ended up making less money for far more work, especially during the upcoming pandemic. Story 63. Start going to therapy immediately. Dream or not, the traumas that stem from childhood are still there, and if I want to live my best life, those are going to have to be addressed one way or another. Oh, and invest more. Story 64. I would cry because I would be in a bad mental health place and not know my amazing boyfriend existed. He has helped me a lot with my mental health and confidence issues. Story 65. Frack you. 7 years? 2018? By God, I'm old. Also, that was the year I got my Oculus, I think, so I guess I used it more than once or twice. Also, stock. Story 66. Immediately search for my fiancé's social media account and tell her I am from the future and explain everything. We have only been together for 3.5 years. Story 67. My daughter was born in February that year, and I took the full year off work to be with her. She was just under 5 months old when I went back, as money was tight. Story 68. Cry because that means my children were never born. We have been through a lot of abuse and made it out last year. Life is great now. The last 7 years of torture at the hands of their father brought us closer together. Story 69. Knuckle down and finish my university course instead of dragging it out. There is no need to make that part of the dream come true. Story 70. Not that the 2 months would make much of a difference, but I would probably tell my dad to get checked for lung cancer. He received his diagnosis late in April and passed away a year later. Story 71. Try to see if I could figure out what got my parents to separate. See if I can notice the signs and fix it before it happens. But if it was all really not a reflection of the future, then I would just spend more time with my friends. I would not be such a hermit and all that. Story 72. Get a second chance with my ex-wife? I certainly would try to do things differently, but both were at fault, so I hope she does things differently. Story 73. 1. Tell him that I love him. Start dating earlier. Work in a restaurant. Work on my business earlier. Take more photographs. Socialize more frequently. Write more. Story 74. I mean, that would be disappointing. The last 7 years have been amazing. I really found myself, got out of a rut, excelled at university, gained a lot of experience, and now work professionally in a field I love with friendly colleagues. My life is really together in many ways. It took a lot of sacrifices and pain, but it was worth it. Story 75. Hug my grandmother, father, and 2 dogs. It has been a lot of loss over the past several years. I would do just about anything to have them all back. Story 76. I would be happy that I didn't have cancer and hadn't had disfiguring surgery to remove the cancer. Cancer is difficult to deal with. I would also stop communicating with my father. Story 77. I had my dog's tumor removed. We were so terrified we would lose him under anesthesia because of his heart murmur. We waited until it bothered him, and that surgery was a million times worse. Thankfully, he had no problems under anesthesia. Maybe we would have gotten more time with him if we had taken it out sooner. I miss him, and I would do just about anything for 5 more minutes with him. Story 78. In 2018, I told my ex-girlfriend that she was a good woman, that she deserved to be loved, and that I would try to be a better man for her and our relationship. I asked her to meet up later and have dinner together somewhere. Just the two of us to be happy and relax. Those were the times when everything was so simple, and I was happy though I did not realize it. I wish I had cherished so much more of life at that time. I crave that inner peace now. Story 79. Actually, I am researching running for President of the United States. If the current person can do it, I am sure I could get elected and do a better job. Story 80. I would tell myself that perfectionism is an illusion. Start now. Conditions will never be perfect to initiate something new in your life. Story 81. I spend all my time with my dad. I record him telling me stories so I can look back on them. Dementia is a challenge. I lost him in late 2019, right before the COVID-19 lockdown. I miss him every day. Story 82. I should not have taken my friend out for a driving lesson. I could have saved myself from a fractured spine, and he would not have written off his car. Story 83. 2017 was when my nightmare started. So I would probably just sigh and get ready for the struggle all over again. Story 84. I would do a lot of things differently for sure, assuming I remember the dream and all its lessons. I did need to learn some of them, though. Story 85. I started a boutique production house in 2014. We were doing quite well, and in 2018, a major film studio in the country wanted to buy us and merge us into one of their newer divisions focusing on commercials, art films, and nonfiction content. I had worked with them in the past and knew them well. They were offering me 25 times my then revenue and a full-time job at the studio. I would lose control of my company, though. I said no. In 2019, our revenue almost doubled. They offered even more money and better terms. I am talking about money that would set me up for my whole life. I said no again because I wanted to make it big and was feeling confident. Everyone suggested that I take the deal. I didn't. In January 2020, the head of that studio called me and very politely asked me to take the deal, saying he was willing to enhance the offer. He offered to produce one of my small independent films from his own pocket as a cherry on top. I respectfully declined. The COVID-19 pandemic hit badly in March 2020. We were completely out of business by June 2021. Our country experienced 3 significant waves of COVID-19. I didn't go broke or anything, but I had to close down. I work at that major studio now. I have a good job that I like but do not love as much as I did running my own business. I could have been in the exact same place I am today, but with a lot more money in the bank. Every few days, I think about what could have been. Story 86. I do actually remember the bad dream, right? If yes, I will have a heart-to-heart with my husband about our marriage, then file for divorce. I want to find the love of my life without upsetting him and enjoy 3 more sweet years together. I will find a better dog trainer and move to a quieter place so my dog can set her own pace starting in puppyhood. Story 87. I would go give my dad the biggest hug of my life, tell him I love him very much, and spend as much time with him as I could. Story 88. I needed to address an important medical issue at the time instead of letting it linger and consume my life further. Then, I would turn my attention to other health and mental issues. I received a job offer, but these issues caused me to decline it. As a result, I would have also been in a position to travel and visit my uncle and a few other relatives who have since passed away without me ever having seen them again. I would have also been able to attend a much-loved relative's wedding. Story 89. 2018 was when I met my boyfriend, so I think I would do everything exactly the same way. But I would hug my sister goodbye. Story 90. I would get excited to date my wife all over again. She is like a video game I can never put down. Also, I might hurry up and start investing in Nvidia before the artificial intelligence boom. Story 91. Hug my dog and call my great-great-aunt to tell her how much I love her. I miss them both dearly, and God knows how much I would give to see them again right now. Gizzy, Auntie Carrie. I cannot wait to be with you again. Story 92. More time with family and friends before the lockdown. Prepare a bit better. Be sure to be there when my cat finally shows herself to be adopted. Story 93. I would cry. I would have my cat George back. But I would also be missing my 2 girls, Artemis and Fryerin. I feel super conflicted about how to feel about it. Story 94. Get my wife's mother to visit the doctor sooner. Quit my job and pursue something else. Move north and focus on my health. Story 95. Focus on myself and passing the first semester of college. Also, I will tap into resources and ask for help. Story 96. Buy a top trim Toyota that I want to drive for 15 years because it is being offered at 0% for approximately $30,000. Story 97. Check my credit history. That was the year my ex was fraudulently maxing out my credit cards and hiding my mail. My credit score is almost back to normal, but it has been a journey. Story 98. Dang it, all that progress on Roblox just for the account not to exist? And my dog doesn't exist? Major loss. At least Fortnite exists. Story 99. If it is January, I take my father-in-law to the doctor and get his heart checked out. Maybe there is time to do something before his life-ending heart attack. Then I go to my neighbor, the one who is like a grandmother to my children, and have a talk with her about her secret drinking problem. All the medications she is on react poorly with it, and the trauma of finding her partly decomposed in the kitchen really affects me for a while. Hopefully, that can help her see how much people care and encourage her to get some help. Then I will go apply at the job I have now so I can get a year of sanity back by working for the best company ever. Successfully doing the first two would make life so much better, though, that I could probably bear with the old employer longer if need be. Story 100. Granddad died in 2023, but if I could go back to 2018, I would write down all his amazing stories. I wish I had done that before he died. I would also encourage my dad to quit smoking so he wouldn't suffer from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease in 2024. Story 101. I have not started my business and divorced my former spouse there and I went out of my way to track down my current partner to have an additional 4 to 5 years with her, while also being able to afford buying a house because I did not try to start a business. Story 102. Make sure I put the lottery on every week. I could have won big money one time but forgot to put it on. I can't remember if it was January or February. There is no guarantee my numbers would still come out, but there is no harm in trying. Story 103. Open a N95 mask company. Sell it in 2022. Start a chicken egg farm. And invest in NVIDIA and Novo Nordisk. Story 104.1. Cry. 2. Take better notes about certain people in my unit to have a better executive order, inspector general, and congressional case against them. Invest in various things. Story 105. Get sober quicker. Do not dwell on my losing my dog and house to a fire. Instead, save my sister from her abusive boyfriend, rather than burying my depression in drugs and alcohol. Story 106. That was the year I moved into my own apartment out of my parents' house. I suppose this time around, I would break up with my ex first and not bring her with me. Story 107. I would encourage my family to invest every single penny in Bitcoin, NVIDIA, and gold. I would not take that flight and leave my parents in 2021. I would not enroll in the university I chose. I would ask my dad to switch his job before the COVID-19 pandemic. Story 108. I made a bet with ridiculously high odds that a South African billionaire is going to dismantle the United States government within the next 10 years. Story 109. First, be really confused. Then I would test if I still have the skills I acquired over those years of dreaming. Story 110. Help my family financially because my father died stressing over financial matters, and spend more time with my family, especially my father and grandmother. Story 111. Go directly to the hospital for detox and then rehab. Keep my fiancé, who left me in 2019 as my drinking got out of control. Story 112. A bad dream? I was having a pretty good time during the last 7 years. If that was bad, it's hard to even imagine what a good dream would have been. Me being a millionaire, I guess. Story 113. Start investing in advanced micro devices and NVIDIA. Start buying gold. Go ahead and get the home improvements we wanted. Dream or not, I would take it as a sign to set some priorities. Story 114. Do not buy this house. Stay in a rental and invest a significant amount in NVIDIA shares with my savings instead. Story 115. Trump was president in 2018 as well, so I am still in the bad dream. 2016 was the year the timelines diverged and we ended up in a bad place. Story 116. I was in a wheelchair due to jumping out of a window during a house fire and shattering both of my heels. I was in a horrible, abusive relationship at the time, along with an undiagnosed thyroid disease and arrhythmia. I like my life much better now. Story 117. I have been agoraphobic since 2018, whereas before, I was a whole, successful person who traveled the world. I would press charges against the person who assaulted me and triggered this personal downfall. Instead, they are successful now, and I am losing everything and still in bed. Yes, I would press charges and let them lose, not me. Now I am considering that I could have done so and still have the same outcome. What woman presses charges and wins? Story 118. Note down everything I can remember to see if I can act on anything I saw in the dream. I will probably start working on some secondary revenue streams anyway. If there is one thing this dream would have taught me, it is that I cannot rely on just a single source. Story 119. Not get married, be with the girl I should have, travel more, warn everyone about September 11th, start making fun of Donald Trump. Story 120. The past 7 years in my life, to be honest, I have just been praying for time to go by faster as I was in a huge financial and emotional rut, and I have just gotten out of it in the past year or so. I would be as defeated as can be if I had to do that all over again. Story 121. If I woke up in 2018, I would get that government job and then find a good partner and get married. I missed out on a stable government job back then due to my misguided belief that it would be boring and that I was better suited for private sector jobs. My father literally begged me, but in my rebellious and inflamed egoistic mindset, I was against it. Story 122. Probably break up with my ex again, go to college about 7 years earlier, and spend my money more wisely. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.